Crowbar Gym, downtown Leesburg. I hope everybody's doing great. You know, New Year's and all, I haven't done a New Year's video, but one thing I am going to discuss today is that one thing that I do here is actually help people fix their injuries and kind of get back to, to a status where they're able to play and they're able to do their sports. So I have like people here with shoulder problems, back problems, hip problems, and all that good stuff. And it's just in case you haven't been to my channel, you've never seen any of my things. I own a gym down here in downtown Leesburg called the Crowbar Gym, and we kind of like post-rehab work, but we also do strength and conditioning. We have these wonderful machines here called the ARX machines. Okay, everything's automated. So, that's the good part about it. And so now to make this a short video, the reality is that a lot of people forget when they start, like I got a lot of golfers in here, right? And so if you're doing this recreationally, and this is for any sport, when you lift, you start lifting weights and all these other things, the one thing you actually need to do is stop chasing the shiny objects. You actually need to focus on your fundamentals. And the reason why is because this is something that you see in professional sports. The science speaks for itself. But the reality is like if you were training right before and you were kind of just doing some light work and you were relying on your skill, right, because you have good skill so you can drive the ball, pretty far, right? That's all mechanics. But the reality is that when you start training in weights, that's its own monster on its own. You're going to get a lot stronger, every component, all the way down from your feet, all the way to the top. And mind you, this can be done with dumbbells, it can be done with machines, it can be done with like these amazing, like the Rolls Royce of lifting right over here. But the reality is that you're still getting stronger. One side might be better than the other too, so that's another thing that you have to kind of be careful with. Make sure that your lifting is properly matched. And working on one arm techniques, one leg techniques, stuff like that is good isolation. Then the rest is really about honing in your skill, right? Honing in your art. So that means you actually almost have to go back to the fundamentals when you first started your sport. And it's gonna look almost kind of like, when you first started ever, like from the beginning. And it's boring and no one wants to do it, but I'll tell you straight up, it works. The reason why is because now when you've created bad habits through playing, because that's what actually happens. Because when we play, we don't really care about our mechanics so much. Sometimes we're just driving force, right, depending on what we're doing, or we're just going through the mechanics, and our body adjusts and learns how to drive this technique even better. And if you tweak your technique, you could end up technically hurting yourself, right? But what you want to do is you're going to want to go back to the mechanics of the fundamentals, and then especially if you just, you started training, and then now all of a sudden all your bad habits actually going to show up in your technique. So again, go back to the fundamentals, right? Work on all your techniques as you did when you first started, and you'll realize that all the issues, all the way from the top of your neck all the way down to your feet, will go away. The reason why is that you have more force, you're driving more force through your body, right, through your mechanics. But then if you haven't got proper mechanics, and a lot of people get away with stuff, that's what they do, then what ends up happening is that those mechanics, the poor mechanics will actually show up. And then you'll see like, oh, why are you going so far this way or that way, depending on what kind of sport you're doing. And I've seen this in everything. I've seen this in tennis, hockey, you name it, any sport, including martial arts. I've seen it. It's just, you got to work on those fundamentals. I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but it is the key to success, especially if you're lifting and you want to drive more power, more energy, and be more explosive. All right, peace out. Little video there.